Quite a few times.
50 times?
More.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably.
Hello and welcome to the show, Mr. AA. Mr. A. I can't even say my own channel. Mr. A Awake. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's Mr. Anderson Awake. Again, if you're new to this channel, which I've got like 3 subscribers right now, so I appreciate all you guys, all 3 of you. We'll get there. Obviously, I had to start off with some flat Earth content because, yeah, I'm that guy. Like, I'm that guy that's going to bring it up. It's going to have these conversations with people about trying to, because that is the pinnacle. But here's the problem: you cannot start there. You can never start there with people. They are not ready for that. Oh, Brian. Wonderful. Boys. Huggy, quiet. Oh, anyways, you can't start there. You just can't, because people will not. You're going to, no matter how much credibility you have, you could be the CEO of a company. You could have a huge status. You know, you could be very, financially successful. You can be whatever it may be. People do not resonate with that. You're going to get laughed at, you're going to get mocked at, but you have to become confident in explaining it and breaking it down. You have to become just good at knowing your stuff, right? You got to know how to get people's minds to work, because here's the problem. They are programmed. They are plugged in. They're going to go to, okay, well, if the Earth's flat, it's up in space. It's a floating disco. Where's the edge? Where's this? Where's that? That's impossible. We have satellites. What about the moon? And they're going to start asking all these questions because they're defending an idea that they've been programmed to believe from the time they've been a child. So you're talking whatever age they are, 20, 30, 40, 60 years old, that idea has been planted and affirmed to them, not through their own studies and logic and reason. It's been seed planted into the brain through media, through your movies, through your textbooks, your science. So to deconstruct that idea for them takes a long time. It takes a very long, and you have to start off small. So you need to introduce theories with people at a very, low-level conspiracy, right? Depending on the dialogue, the back and forth, you can kind of see. Like, I had a conversation with a guy at work the other day. He wasn't really. He's kind of a contractor, so he's not there very often. And he immediately started talking about 9/11. He's like, it's fake. He's like, it's a fraud. He's like, I even basically got AI to admit that and conceded that it's fake. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, this guy, at least, he's not one of those guys like, wow, no, our government wouldn't do that. Our government, they wouldn't lie. Why would they lie to us? No, he's like, our government definitely lied. So it's like, okay, well, at least you're at that point. At least you're at the point of knowing that, guess what? This is an inside job. Our government is responsible. And then the implication from that. So if our government would lie and kill American citizens for, to propagate this cause of going to go and extract oil and radicalizing these countries. I don't say radicalizing these countries, but yeah, I mean, you're going in and you're, for the sake of freedom, we're going to give this country, America, freedom. Speaking of freedom behind me there. And so, at least once you can see, like, and that's what amazes me with people sometimes is they have this, how do I say this? So they'll like, they'll even get on board with that. Like, oh yeah, maybe it was. It's like, okay. Well, do you know the implications from that? That if our government would kill American citizens and orchestrate this entire event, right? What does that mean? That means they would do anything. They don't care. They don't care about murdering their own people. They don't care about the bloodshed and the grief and the sanctity of life. They don't care about us or you or me. They don't care about you. So, of course, that implies a much deeper meaning of what else are they like? That's not something like, oh, well, I guess they killed thousands of people and blew up a couple of towers. And it's like, okay, now what? Now what else is there? And it just spirals. Like, that's where I was at for the longest time. Flat Earth was just like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's stupid. Yes, I can get on board with some of these other ones, but you know what? I'm going to kind of stay in between and just not. I'm like, well, no, obviously the Earth's not flat. That's insane. That's crazy, dude. Like, but guess what? I was there. I was there. I was one of those people. So I understand the reaction. I understand the emotion. I understand. But at the same time, the more you look into it, the more you investigate, the more time you spend, and the more you start to trust your own logic and reasoning and stop and realize, yes, your government will lie to you. Your doctors will lie to you. Your science professionals and they will lie to you. Your history teachers will lie to you. Now, some of them are just regurgitating information that they've been taught, so it's not always a lie, but they will lie to you, whether intentionally or not intentionally, indirectly or directly. It's happening to you on a daily basis. Okay, so this is I saw that meme. I'm like, this is what this is. I was just going to share some of my favorite ones. So while we're at it, one of the things that woke me up to that, we're not going to dive deep into this, and I'm sorry that I can't. When life is lifing, as far as just working every day, which is what I'm trying to break free from, and I think everybody's trying to get, who's in this space of waking up, we're all trying to break free from this in some form or fashion, or get as far away from it, as exposed to it as little as possible that we can, because it is soul draining. It's draining your soul, knowing that now that this is just a scheme. This life we've been fed and we've been scammed into buying into it's just that, it's a scam, and we want as far away from it as possible as far as being a participant in it. So I want to live freely. I want to live that and live according to what feeds my soul and my purpose in this, in working whatever job it may be. Now, I know there are some jobs that people are like, they're very much like that. This is my purpose. Like I dated a physical therapist, and she felt very called. Like it's a form of servitude, right? So like you might feel very called in your position to do what you do, and you're serving God in the same respect by your service. Whatever that may be, whether it's nursing, doctors, healthcare, physical therapy, firefighter, policeman, whatever it may be. If you feel very called to do that, and you feel like, hey, this is what I was, then most certainly fulfill that, and to the highest degree, right? But for the majority of us, we're surviving, right? Even if we have a good job, like I've got a great job, but I still feel in the survival mode. I feel just like this soul draining. This is not what I want to do. This is not fulfilling me. This is not satisfying me. I need to get away from this. And that just amplifies louder every single day in your soul of like, this is not it. This is not, I have one life that has been fed nothing but lies from the time I've been born, and injected with things and poisoned with things from the time I've been born. We have been lied to and poisoned, and I want out. I want away from this. I want as far away from this as possible. And I want other people surrounded by me that also understand this. That's why we're looking for community. We're coming on here and we're talking about things because we're looking for community with people, because you resonate with those people because they understand, they've broken free. They have seen, their mind has been, they have deconstructed everything, not everything, but we have deconstructed a lot. And now you're seeing this. You're seeing it for what it is. You're seeing through this veil. And you are no longer wanting to be a willing participant, an ignorant willing participant. You are now you are at this mindset of I know, and I'm still being a participant, but how do I get out of this, right? How do I get away from this? How do I break free from this? And so that's a very difficult place to be, because you have to be somewhat plugged in. Because you got to survive. You got to feed. You have to eat. You have to, have a roof over your head. You have to have these things. But it's like, okay, what can I do? How do I minimize my bills, my exposure? What are the, necessities that I really, have to have? And what do I need to, what is the amount I need? Like you can beat yourself to death over how much money you need or how much you think you need. Like I struggle with that at times. Like I want to be very secure. Like I've always been a very responsible, accountable, stable person as far as when it comes to my finances, and always been worried about, providing for just myself, and I've been married in the past. And so I've had a family to provide for. And so it's like, that definitely wanes over you. But you also get to a point where like everybody else that's so plugged in the matrix is like, oh, I'm retiring when I'm 55. I'm retiring. I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. And so, you have to come up with a plan that's going to come at the cost of money, right? It doesn't have to. I mean, maybe you have a gift, maybe you have a creativity that you explore that breaks you out of this, right? That gets you money and fulfills your purpose in some ways. And, so you're able to do both and still live in a pretty good lifestyle. But for a lot of us, that's not always the case. And so it's like, I need to come up with a way to make some money, but not, you don't got to make a crazy amount of money, but make some money and also, live. And so I can actually start living, my life, doing what I want to do, what fills me up as a person, what feeds my soul, and not what other people expect of me or what other people want me to do. What's the predominant way of this is what a normal life looks like, right? This is, you're no longer wanting that. And that obviously you want to live and you want to be fulfilled, but not, you realize the game is that most are playing is not fulfilling. It's not, like, it's draining. And so, for me to deep dive into these subjects, it's very difficult for me to find time to do it. I applaud people that do. That's why I'm always going to refer to other content creators or people that are, more, have more time on their hands to deep dive these subjects. I will, hopefully, Lord willing, eventually, share some content, share some things that deep dive it. But you're at a point where you're like, hey, I live with myself. So it's like keeping your house clean, feeding yourself, eating healthy, going to work, trying to keep up. Like I own rental properties, so trying to keep up with rental properties and managing them and managing contractors and managing, just your bills. It's a lot, like I said, and trying to keep just a clean house. It's a lot, and it's draining. And so to, make this type of stuff, that's why it's going to be once a week for now, because and try to deep dive these subjects. That takes time to create all that and to get that together and share that in a very coherent, substance type way. Like you want substance, right? Like we're on here because we want substance. Like I'm going to share short clips of things and talk about them kind of in a general sense. But at the end of the day, you need substance to convict your mind, to change your opinion on something or whatever it may be. You're going to need more than just what I'm sharing. But this is also just another voice. Sometimes it's just good to be in a space where somebody shows up, right? Like there are some people I follow that I just like seeing them week in, week out. Sometimes their content's top tier. Sometimes they have really good content. Sometimes it's like I was all right, but it's great to have that community type feel with somebody, with people, no matter how great or good or bad the content may be. So this is what, this is kind of the direction of this is going. But I hope to deep dive some more of these subjects and give you more substance on why you should believe these things, or why, maybe you should look into these things more. So on Flat Earth, obviously now there's a lot of different people that's like, I never say like, oh, go follow this person and like listen to everything they say, but somebody that has really good content is Eric Dubay. Eric Dubay has great content on Flat Earth. Rob Skiba, Mark Sargent. And all these guys kind of, I don't know, they all kind of disagree with each other. Like, oh, well, he's like Dave Weiss, like can't stand Eric. And I don't know all the drama between the guys, like why he don't like him and he don't like that guy and I don't like that guy and that guy's a fed, or that guy's whatever it may be. All I know is that the content that each one of them make is very similar when it comes to like that subject. So like Flat Earth, they have very similar, very similar messages and science behind why they believe the Earth's flat. So those are great guys. Again, Dave Weiss, Rob Skiba, rest in peace. I miss Rob so much. Eric Dubay, Mark Sargent, and there's others, but those are definitely ones that will get you, definitely dip your toes, into that. So, go, if you care, and this is the thing, if you care, if you're one that actually wants to know truth, and you want to spend more than 5 minutes Googling on YouTube, or just Google and looking up why Flat Earth is an archaic idea and why it's stupid and why it's ignorant and how to, like, if that's your goal, then this isn't the space for you, right? Then you need to humble yourself for a minute, check yourself for a second, and go look into these. Go watch a couple hour video. Yeah, because you've been fed 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life of why the Earth's a globe. And you won't even spend 2 hours watching somebody or listening to somebody that maybe has a different opinion on it. Like, that's what's crazy to me. Like, yes, of course you're going to side with your whole life's programming versus somebody who, it seems like a whack ball guy wearing a bandana telling you that the Earth's flat. But I'm telling you, the Earth it's not a globe. Water does not. I don't care. This is where you see it, where people cannot detach from their programming. Like when you say water doesn't curve, it always needs a container. And you give examples of ponds and lakes. No matter how far you stretch it, water doesn't curve. It just doesn't curve. It never has curved. It never will curve. It'll travel down till it finds level. That's just what it does. If you're being an objective, honest person, then you would understand that. Like then you would admit that. Like you're right. Water doesn't curve. Okay. Well, then you know what? You know what else that also is very substantial evidence is yes, how we can see too far. So when I give you the 8 inches per mile squared of how much the curvature is, and then that you calculate that to a distance, but yet you still see mountains or skyscrapers or whatever that should be below a couple miles of curvature or a mile of curvature. Okay, well you shouldn't see that. That's confirmation. That's math. Math does not have logic, does not have reason. It's just math. So that right there should be like, okay, you're right. They give you a formula. It doesn't. I should not see this. And if you're an objective-minded person and you don't go into the comments, see, there's so many bot comments and so many globers and that just love to troll flat earthers. They love it. They get off to that stuff, like trolling, and it's like you're not using reason and logic. You're not. You're using hypotheticals and theories for why this is the way it is, and not just saying, hey, we shouldn't see this. We do see it. Water never curves in nature from what you observe, but they tell you it curves. They tell you ships go over horizon, but people bring it right back into perfect view. And you don't even know how your own optics work. You don't even know how your own perception works. Like I work, again, for a power company, and like when you have poles, like in a line, they're all the same height poles for the most, they're all, so for the most part. But say you're on a flat piece of ground, you say all these same height poles. It looks like the furthest one away from you is going down. Like it's going down, like it's dropping. It's not a smaller pole. It's the same size pole, set in the same depth. They're set at about 6 feet deep, give or take. Because the auger only goes, so they, it's very, if it's inches off at most. It looks like it's 10 feet shorter. Because that's how your perception works. Things are going down. They're going away from you. That's how your optics work, right? Again, if you're using your head, you would understand that. You would understand that. Okay, why do streetlights look like they're look like they're going away from? Like they're smaller and smaller. They're not smaller. They're just going away from you. So when the sun is setting or going, it was like, well, but the sun. So when the sun is setting. Moving away from you or it's going over the horizon. No, it's going away from you because it's up in the sky at high noon and then it just gets lower and lower and lower. It's not that it's going over the horizon or it's going away from you, just like streetlights and poles and different things. Long hallways in a hotel or on a football field, somebody walking away from you. If you're eye level with a football field, it looks like they're going over. It's like, no, the football field is flat as can be. They're not getting shorter. They're just going away from you, right? So they're getting smaller. So again, you have to use these type of this type of rationale. To me, when people ignore that, it's like, well, it's very telling to me that the programming's working and you're defending the programming. So, anyways, I've rambled long enough already for this show, but I've only doing once a week show. So if we go longer, we go longer. So let's watch another clip of of one of the things that convicted me in the beginning of, okay, that's interesting. Now, this one doesn't do a great justice to it, but it gives you the idea. Now, there's all kinds of videos that, are better for seeing high altitude balloons, different things. And this really was compelling for me when I first saw this because, again, these things are from independent people. They're not paid. It's not paid science that we pay, that are feeding us an agenda. This is just somebody said, hey, I put, high altitude balloons are really, really should convict you a lot as far as this is not paid for science. So they don't, everything has an agenda. First of all, you need to admit that. So if you're one that's like, oh, 9/11 was real, there was an agenda behind that. There's an agenda behind these decisions that are made, why they would kill people, right? Like there's agendas behind NASA. They're feeding you atheistic type ideologies. And as Christians, especially, you can't reconcile that. We try to fit it in, but you cannot reconcile anymore if you're being honest with Scripture. Flat or globe Earth and what science tells you the age of the Earth is and the Bible. You cannot reconcile it. But we try to, and it's just not reconcilable. And that's what also affirms this even more. When you actually start digging into it and looking into it and talk about the circuit of the sun and the moon, it just affirms it and substantiates this belief. But people will not. They're already operating from a standpoint of just defense, and this is crazy and this is ignorant. And I get it. But give yourself some time and be humble. Humble yourself. Trust me, I'm a very egotistical driven person, or at least I used to be. Humble yourself. Listen, absorb, process, think. Do not default to your programming and to science. And it's going to tell you this, like, oh, okay, well, I feel better. This scientist told me it's not, look at the proof he's given. It's not really good proof at all. It's ignorant. Again, trust yourself and trust that science is trying to lie to you, and they do have an agenda. So let's watch this clip. Okay, so yes, 35,000 feet in the air, zero curvature, right? And there's all kinds. There's a God in common. Without fisheye lens, 111,000 feet, zero curvature. There's a picture. Now, granted, this is a picture, but there's actual videos of guys that do this. They go up, they send these high altitude balloons up, and they panoramic the whole Earth, right? And it looks flat. I'm talking flat. There's no fish. Again, take out the fisheye lens that is used in so many cameras and video recorders for curvature. And what's funny is, again, they kind of they very much, if you pay attention enough, it's ignorant. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson says, at like a certain height, that stuff is flat. You can't see no curvature. But I forget how high up. But at the same height, others will say, look at the curvature. It's because you're using a fisheye lens, while your other prominent I guess architect of this belief in a way, spokesperson for this belief also tells you, no, it's flat at that height. Well, you get all these trollers saying, well, look at this. It's because they're using a fisheye lens. So again, independent people putting and August Pickard, I think, was another one of the things that really convicted me, because this is before science got into before NASA was formed, and we had all these, again, paid for propaganda and nonsense. He says it looks like, what do you say? It's flat with upturned edges, right? And the Bible, again, talks about the earth being like clay under a seal. You ever seen where, like, a king with his ring, or I think it's a ring or some type of, thing he stamps or whatever. And when they stamp that, pay attention, right? So it's like a little piece of, looks like a piece of thing or a piece of land or, object, and then it forms like a barrier around it, like the ice wall, right? It forms that like clay under a seal. Like, again, that's exactly the belief. Now, again, because you don't understand the model, most people don't understand the model we've been given. They don't even, they think, well, they're picturing a flat disc in space. That's literally what they're picturing. And that's ignorant. That is so ignorant, because that's not what any of us believe. None of us. We have a model, but we don't get $70 million a day to continue to support it and substantiate it. We don't get to investigate these things as thoroughly as we would like to, because there's barriers in the way, there's restrictions, and they're also trying to promote a global agenda, an atheistic type of agenda, with this freaking ridiculous globe Earth that's flying through space at 1 million miles per hour. Yes, look it up. We're flying 1 million miles per hour, I think. And I forget how many miles a year we travel. It's insane. You're not moving. You are not stinking moving. You're not moving. And people will even admit that, like, yeah, you're right. I don't feel like we're moving, but they tell us we're moving. Again, ignoring your own senses, ignoring your own logic, ignoring what you observe. You're not moving. Okay. Enough flat earth stuff for the day, or for this episode. We don't need to explore that. So let's go with a funny clip. All right, let's go with something comical again, because this, I just want, I know to start off with a flat earth, but let's go a little something funny. I love this too. Let's check this out.
Okay, sweetie, you'll be in school for the next
14 years straight.
If you're not attractive in this world, then you have to be funny or rich.
Congrats, honey. Now choose what you'll do for the
Rest of your life.
We're looking for 5 years of experience for this.
Unpaid internship.
Congrats! This will be your cubicle for the next
50 years.
This house starts at only
600,000.
Okay, I love this clip. I love it because this is what we're talking about. We've been sold this freaking lie from the time we've been a kid. We've been indoctrinated. Go to school. Hey, get a job. Work your whole life away. Work your entire life away. Some of us, yes, in a cubicle your whole life. Here, enjoy it. Hey, at 18 years old, decide what you want to do forever. Till the day you die. Guess what? You're going to work that job till you're old and basically your life is over. I don't say your life is over, but your health for the most part at that point, you're out of the prime of your life. Hey, we appreciate you. Enjoy it. And then you get somebody, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard of stories, and even in my own company I work for, so-and-so passed away. He retired 2 years ago, a year ago. Some I've seen like 6 months ago the guy retired. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This is what this is about. This is what we're doing. This is when we're talking about, when you awaken to this, you start to see this reality and be like, this is a scam. This is a stinking scam. And you're like, I'm not participating. I am going to find a way to get out of this freaking crap, because this is a scam. This is a scam. You're tired. Your energy. You're just like, I don't know how people. I truly don't. If you're out there, and you've got kids and a family, and you work every day. Maybe you work 5 days a week. Some obviously, like I work with a bunch of linemen, they work a whole lot more hours than I work. I'm only working 40. It's still soul sucking. But you have a family, and also maybe you're staying in shape. You're trying to eat healthy. You're maybe trying to start a side business, or maybe you're trying to create content of some sort, or whatever it may be that you're trying to do, and still maintaining all this and being a good father and being a good husband. I don't know how you have the energy. I truly don't. I don't know if I need to blast some test. But like, where is this energy coming from? I applaud you. Like, man, dude, I mean, that's phenomenal. But at the same time, like, I can't help but think that you're just tired and drained all the time, mentally and physically. And so, but again, I don't know how people do it. I really don't. I hope that if it's what you want, then yeah, you're fulfilled with that purpose, and that's what keeps you going, right? But for those of us that's awakened and seeing this scam of life that we've been sold for what it is, we're like, this is, every day feels like, just like, this is the worst thing ever. You mean you have some better days than others? Like, there's times where like, okay, this isn't that bad, but then it's like, it's not too long until it comes back around. You're like, this sucks. This freaking sucks. Is this what it's supposed to be? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. Like, I am not. And then you because you're not around people that also believe in that, you're constantly surrounded by people that still are bought into this idea, right? So when you start talking about that, it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you want to get out of here? This is a great job. It's like, yeah, you're right. In the realm of your reality, of that world, of this world, that this clip that we just showed, you're right. This is a good job by all standards. But once you are awakened to this scam that we've been sold, and you realize how much the government that you're paying your taxes to takes and steals and lies to you, and that you're feeding into this system. You're playing this. You're like, I don't want to do this. I'm not doing this. Like, I've been working since I've been 16. I'm 35. I've been 20 years, and I've never had a break. As far as like, I've never been laid off. I've never had an injury at work where like, oh, I had to take 2 or 3 months off for this injury to come back from. I've had a baby. I took 3 months off. Whatever. It's been nonstop for almost 20 years. You've had this responsibility and accountability to whatever it may be, whatever job or company you're working for, and it is draining. And I'm tired, and we're tired. And again, when you understand this, it just, everything is your wantingness to break free is just exacerbated to the highest degree. Like it is at a whole nother scale of like how much, and your soul at this point is just feeling it. It is taking the blows every day. Like, why? Stop doing what you're doing. Quit. That's why, I'm sorry. When people when they quit their job, I'm too I am. The fear has got to me as far as like, I'm making moves. I'm doing things that are hopefully to get me from that or break free from that. But, people that just up and quit their jobs with like hopes and dreams or God's going to take care of me. I hope that's the case, and I really hope they succeed. I'm trying to be a little bit more cautious because I'm like, I do still have time to enjoy my life and do things I want to do and still do it in a, more secure way. Now, do I want to up and quit my job tomorrow? 1,000%. I wish I had the kahunas to do it. And some people do. And I'm like, dude, I give you so much freaking props for that. But like I said, I own properties and I've got mortgages to pay and different things, and so I've got a little bit more at stake. And trust me, it is constantly crossed my mind to be like, just sell everything you got. I mean, like I've got several properties that are, I own outright. I don't have any mortgages on. Like I could just sell it all, be out of debt. I've got some land I could put a small house on and probably be completely out of debt and still have, a nice chunk left over that I could live off of. I could make some, maybe some covered calls with, or even maybe keep a couple rental houses to keep some income coming in. And then, just do some side work, just do a couple days a week. Because it's the 5 days a week thing that's just draining me. Like, I don't mind to work a day or 2 a week, 3 days tops. But this 5 day a week stuff, taking this 5 days a week for the rest of your life, to have a couple weeks vacation every year. Like, I've been taking so much time off work. And, my bosses are like, I can't, quit taking so much time. Basically giving you a hard time, but it's my days. I can spend them how I want. But it's because I physically can't be here. Like, it's draining me so much anymore to show up every day. Like, I'm just so drained spiritually, emotionally, physically. I don't want to be here. And they don't understand that. Like, it's like, what do you mean? Like, this is a great job. It's like, you don't understand. I don't want to be here. This is not what I want to do. This is not serving me anymore. Now, if you're in a job again that's serving you, stick with it. Maybe you should stick with it. I mean, but again, because I'm not going to tell you to go up and quit your job and with no plan or no backup or no savings or whatever. Like, that's not smart, in my opinion. But people do it, and I really hope that they succeed. I really hope God does take care of them. I don't have those kahunas yet. Hopefully, I'm going to get to that point. But again, I kind of also get wrapped up sometimes in the idea of like, oh, well, Nate, if you just waited 5 more years, man, like you could really elevate yourself, between your rental properties and your income now, you could really elevate yourself. Just stay 5 more years. Man, 10 more years. Man, dude, if you say 10 more years, it's like, see, that's like that 401k and your pension plans and all that. They get you by, I call it the golden handcuffs, right? Because everything really starts to pick up towards the end of your career. That's when everything starts to, especially pension plans. And I'm lucky that I've got one. But even your 401k is obviously the more you contribute, the more it's going to grow, yada, 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 the more it's going to compound. That keeps you stuck. Like, well, if I stayed this many more years and this one. And so you can play that game to the day is long, right? As far as what do I need? How much do I need? The dollar obviously is devaluing. Inflation is going up. You know, $1 million isn't what it used to be. Do I need a couple million? Do I need 5 million? I've seen some ridiculous things that people's like, I'm like, you don't think you can make it with $5 million? You don't think you can make it with $1 million? You give me $1 million right now, I promise you I can make it. You know, with, you know, just off interest, I can make it. And so, you know, it's, but people are out there making it with $10,000, you know, or they're out there living a more fulfilling life for themselves with not much in their bank account. You know, whether they're living in a van. I've seen people living in tents. I've seen people live in yurts. I've seen, you know, this, again, the small house living. I've seen people with not a lot of money, and they're living a more, and you know, according to them, they're living a more fulfilling life. And I can see why, because they have more. They might not have less money. They might have less money, but they have more time. They have more time. And time is the most valuable asset on earth. Your time is more valuable than anything else. I mean, we can talk about it all day. No, everybody would trade. You know, the richest man in the world, if he could buy himself 10 more years, 15, he would do it. If he could buy his health, he would do it. Meanwhile, you're declining in your health, your physical fitness, and even your spiritual and mental fitness. I call it fitness because it is. Like I notice how lethargic and how uncreative my brain is, and I'm just exhausted in my brain. I'm tired, and I'm sure it's also from the frequencies of the 5G and how much as I've eliminated so much poison in my diet of food and clothing and shampoos and deodorant and toothpaste and all that stuff. I'm still tired. Like I'm just it's just draining, and I know it's tied. It's not just age, but it's tied into this escape. Like you're like, I'm done, and my soul knows. My soul now knows. It didn't know before, but it knows now. It knows now that this is not it. It has woken up, and through its awakening, it's now more tired than it's ever been. Ain't that funny how that works? How ironic that is? Like, oh, I'm more alive in my understanding and discernment and soul than ever, and I'm more tired than ever because of this scam that they have sold us, and they're continuing to sell us, and people are still plugged into. So I've been ranting for a while. Sorry. I'm kind of tired, and I actually didn't think I was going to be ranting much, but I am ranting. And we got a lot of videos. Maybe I'll make 2 episodes out of this because, did not expect this to be this long. So, you never know where your mind goes sometimes. But speaking about, you know, paying taxes and you know, doing this as long as you can, you know, till the day you die. Let's watch a couple videos. I've got a couple videos here on taxes. So let's check these out. And I hear this every year about not paying your tax. Let's just stop paying your taxes. You know, they're going to do something then. It's like, okay, but we actually have to do it. And who's going to do it? We're all scared again. Here comes the fear game. We're all scared. Who's going to actually start this? You know? Like I know there's people that are not. And I avoid taxes in some ways. Like I don't, you know, there's some things I don't. I mean, I'm just kidding. I pay all my taxes. All of my taxes. But obviously I'm not filling out the W-4 form and you know, just not paying tax. I'm one of those ones like, well, you got to start somewhere, but it's like, I also don't believe there's going to be enough people to do it because we're all scared, and we're all scared of the IRS taking our house and taking things from us and, you know, knocking down our door, you know, and really disrupting my lifestyle at this point. So it's like, okay, but man, what if we did? What if we did just stop paying and stop letting these thieves take our money for waste? There's so much, and that's the more fresh. It's like, I wouldn't mind paying taxes if it was for keeping the roads maintained, if it was going for our health care, people's health care, and people's disability, but actual disabilities, and, you know, our education. But everything is so abused. Everything is so extorted. Everything has been just corrupted. It's all corrupted. Every part of it. So it's like, no, I don't want to pay my taxes because you guys are corrupt. Our government's corrupt. The people that work in our government's corrupt. The institutions that they support are corrupt. The war machine is corrupt. I mean, every aspect of it is corrupt. It's like, so yeah, I don't want to pay my frickin' taxes. I'm still broke. You know, you're still broke at the end of the day. You're like, why am I giving? And they're just, they're terrible accountants. They're terrible people at spending our money. It's like, why are we giving these fools? And I use that term. My dad has always been very cautious about throwing the term fool around, but we are giving these fools our money. And yeah, so this soul-draining life experience of working your life away and knowing that it's being spent into so much scandalous fraud, you're just like, it angers you. It should anger you. You should be upset. And you should be like, forget these people. I'm not going to curse on this show. I might use some euphemisms from time to time, but it should anger you. It should frustrate you again. And people just... they just glance over it. They just look past it. You know, I mean, we got to pay our taxes. You got to pay our taxes. And then it's backed up by fear. So let's watch a couple videos on not paying our taxes.
MTG's out here saying, let's just not pay taxes. Honestly, let me know when it kicks in so I can ask Siri to remind me. Shout out to MTG. She's the only one with the guts to say exactly what everyone's thinking. We all want to skip the bill. She's just the first to send the group text.
How did we go from fighting a revolution over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage to what we pay today? We're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further, and then when you get to your office that is taxed to exist, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed us on. But it wasn't always like this. In fact, in 1895, the Supreme Court ruled any federal taxes against its citizens were unconstitutional. So the government did what the government does best. It protected and expanded itself by passing the 16th Amendment. Basically, the government gave us the middle finger and gave themselves the power to basically do whatever they want. People back then were more angry about that 1% tax rate than we are about our 37% tax rate today. That is the power of creeping gradualism of government that I'm always warning you guys
It's insane. It's absolutely insane how much we are taxed. And people still accept it as normal. And even Christians, like, it bugs me sometimes with Christians that are like very plugged in, like very government. Well, you know, Jesus says, render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. That frustrates me. Because they take that verse and they apply that. I'm like, okay, so what's enough? If they tax you at 90%, would you still be using that as hey, well, that's what the Lord says. We got to pay our taxes. And if they tax you at 98%, 99%, where does it stop? To me, that's when you go back to more biblical-based what they did. You know, there was a lot of tithing. JT Fall JC and Alpha Talks just did a great episode on usury. Again, JT Follows JC with Alpha Talks did an amazing episode on tithing, usury, interest in general, and how that cripples us as people, and how it cripples a nation, how it completely, and not only just that, but how it leads to so many things by being taxed to death and by being this corrupted money state government and overlords that just continue to steal from us. That's what it is. They're at this point, it's stealing. It's not biblical. They're stealing from you. They're not just say, hey, we're render under the government once the government's. They are stealing from you, and they are and the continual rate at which we're taxed is getting higher. Property taxes are going up. Everything's going up. People are being taxed out of their house that they thought they owned. Right? Like I don't have my mortgage paid off. But you know what? Your property taxes just went up 50%. And you're on a fixed income. Now I can't pay how am I going to come with this? Old people are being taxed out of their houses because it's insane. And why do we have property taxes? It's the most insane thing in the world. that we pay this much in property taxes just to have a house. You're taxed when you buy it. You're taxed when you sell it. You're taxed on how much you made, how much you sold it. Forget about the fact that, hey, I own this house, put so much work into it. Well, you're going to be taxed on your profits if it's less than 2 years or anything like that. You're going to be taxed on your income. You got your sales tax, your gas tax. You've got everything, payroll. You got everything. There's so much tax. There's taxes on everything, and we think that's normal. You know why you think it's normal? Because it's always been normal. So that, again, this comes back to the programming. You think that's normal. You may not think it's normal that it's going up, but the fact that we even pay this amount of taxes that shouldn't sit right in your spirit. That shouldn't sit right in your soul that we're paying this much. That you can't see how older people are still having to work at 60, 70 years old because of just taxes and interest and usury. We are being forced. Again, this is an enslavement camp, just redesigned. We are enslaved by this thing called money. We are absolutely enslaved. And it sucks. It sucks. Like, I hate seeing old people work unless they're wanting to work. Now, there's some that go out to work because they just want something to do and they just want some way to spend their time. But a lot of them are just forced to work because they need to survive. That's not right. That's not the way it should be. These people should be able to have taken a break and rested and enjoy themselves and enjoy. That should be easy for people. It should not be this difficult. Younger people are being priced out of buying homes. That's why everybody's just, we're all talking about you're in survival. And that's exhausting. People are not wanting to have kids because they can't afford it. And they're also in survival mode. It's like, why do I want to put a kid through this? Why do I want to introduce a kid to this scam of a life we've been sold? To put them in their indoctrination camps, aka school, and then sell them this same lie, sell them this same crap of working till you die. Pay your freaking taxes, work till you die, pay your master, and eat our freaking goy slop food, drink your goy slop water in your goy slop freaking house with your goy slop shampoo and your goy slop toothpaste and your goy slop cooking freaking skillets with your goy slop flooring. It is sickening. It's sickening. And it's like, I've always been one that was like, early on in life, I'm like, I want like a dozen kids. I want to be like an Amish. Like, I want a dozen kids running around. Now I'm like, do I want to bring a kid into this world? Do you? I mean, I think everybody wants to, everybody wants that fulfillment and joy. But again, that's another discussion topic for that as well, because once you realize, and that's why it's better for some to stay plugged in. Like, I realize why people don't want to wake up. It's scary to them, right? And it shakes their reality. So for a lot of people, it's better to just stay plugged into this matrix. It's best to just stay plugged in, set this same, be a parrot of this same idea and this same plan and same scheme we've been sold. Just parrot it as well. Because it's gonna change the way you think. It's gonna change the way that you think about even your whole life, and maybe introducing another life into this. It's gonna change that, because it's a pretty sucky world. Now, I know it's all on how you look at it. People are like, well, you just got to change, and you're right. There is a lot of things that you can change, as far as a lot of gratitude and different things that you can implement into your mind, and that will help you kind of. But at the end of the day, you have to survive. You have to live. And the system is just is getting worse and worse. Our spokespeople for truth, our spokespersons like Charlie Kirk and others, are getting less and less. They're revealing themselves more and more as far as who is paid off, who is bought into this scam, who are feds, or who are just, it's psychological warfare with their content or with their voice. There's very few truthers that are, because you're going to get Charlie Kirked. That's the message they continually send. You know, it's not just Charlie Kirk, it's others. Like I just saw where, I didn't even know this, but Tim Walz, one of the Democrat congresswomen, was assassinated because she went against the Democrat vote of child care because she saw the fraud, and so she voted against it. Well, guess what? She was assassinated. One of her own party. She was a Democrat. Assassinated. Her and her husband and her freaking dog. Yeah, it's so I sympathize with people as much as, you know, we're again, well, why don't you want to have kids? Why don't you? It's like, hey, it's not that we don't want to. Some literally just don't want to, but there's others like, I want to, but this is a scam. Like, this is a simulation we're living in. It truly is. I know that sounds very new agey or what. I don't even know if that sounds new, but we are. You're not living in reality. Most people are not living in reality. They think they're living in reality. They're not, as far as when it comes to the truth of this world. And this Truman Show of a life that we've been sold, they're not awake to that yet. And again, maybe it's best they don't, for a lot, that they don't become aware to that, because that awareness changes a lot of things in your life, a lot for the good, but you also can't help but be a little bit nihilistic about things. I don't like nihilism, you know, but even heck, Solomon was a nihilist, you know. It's like, well, all is vanity in the end. But what's even worse is when all is, not that just all is vanity and grasping for the wind, but it's so incredibly difficult now to do these things that and to live life and to live a good life and to provide and it's not like, that's why, you know, when people say, I'm like, homeschool your kids, like the whole part of waking up and awareness is, yes, you need to create an atmosphere to educate your children yourself. Quit giving them over to the institutions, quit giving them over to the indoctrination camps. You need to wake up so you can provide education for your kids in the right way, not the public school system, not even the private school system. And that don't sit right with people. Oh, what about the social environment? It's like, are you kidding me? Like that to me is like, I want my kid to fit in. That's what it sounds like to me. I want my kid to be able to have a, you know, friends and stuff. It's like, there's not a lot of people I know that have a lot of very close ties to their friends from school, right? I mean, yes, can you still be homeschooled and participate in sports and different things? Like, yeah, sure, go for it. Like I agree with that. Like, still get them engaged, but they're being indoctrinated, and they're going to continue this program. They're going to pass that program down. So it's going to require the black sheep. It's going to require the crazy one in the family to try to wake some of this up to people. That's not an easy job. It's not a job that you asked to get. It fell upon you, right? And it's difficult because you might be the only one in your family that is. And so, again, I can sympathize with why people don't. It's a tough reality to sit with, and to want to introduce another person. And life's, as you get older, man, life gets really sad because there's less, you know, it's like that Pirates of the Caribbean quote, like, well, you know, the world, I think it's Barbosa that says, you know, the world used to be so much bigger, a lot bigger, and Sparrow comes back, well, the world's just the same. It's just, there's just less in it. You know, people start dying, your uncles, your grandparents, your parents. So this, you know, this childhood spark for life, you know, that, you know, this vision you have of all your family being together, and, you know, just your kids, you want everybody, and it's like a lot of them have passed on, moved on. There's just less in it. And again, this is not to deter people from, like, yes, most certainly, what if your purpose and your fulfillment is through that, and most certainly I'm sure it is. But you also have to understand what you're introducing to the world, right? And what you're bringing into this world and what you're responsible for. It's not just about your joy and your fulfillment. There's now another life in this world that's going to go through the same life as you. Maybe more difficult than you. Maybe less difficult than you. And so and you're introducing it into a very tough world to make it, to thrive. I guess as I would say, it's a tough world to thrive and to live, and to, again, just break free. It's a tough world to do that. Where this reality we're living in right now it's not easy. It's really not. This American dream is the American nightmare, for most people. It's just getting tougher and tougher. And so, anyways, you know what? I've rambled on without showing a lot of ticky-talkies. And we're going to conclude this show. I'm going to save some of the content that I've got, or the videos I'd plan on doing, for another show. I don't want to make this more than hardly an hour. I have rambled tonight. Hopefully for the good. Hopefully you got some stuff out of it. And I'm going to play something, though, at the end of this video, because again, I love music, and this guy I heard this song that he wrote. It's around little hat people, and again, people that are asleep, trying to wake you up. But it was done incredibly well, and that's what will stop the show. Have a good night.
In 2024, the U.S. sent $18 billion in aid to Israel. Funnily enough, $18 billion could also cover the cost for 38 million families to eat food entirely for free for 1 month. If that doesn't piss you off, then this first line is probably for you. Are you blind or are you stupid? Do you like the taste of boots? Well, I've tried to keep my mouth full. A small bite was more than I could chew. Where's your spine, you lowly coward? When it's time for the marching and salutes, will you see the leaders of our nation lose a thing from the killing they produce? I know that you won't. They'll create broken homes to turn a single cent profit overseas. They're using kids of our own to kill kids in their homes, and they'll say that it's all for you and me.